Hi guys, Artie here and have a topic that I've wanted to talk about since forever, that being the Weather Channel. I know, this isn't related to Cartoon Network or animation, but I definitely think it's worth the attention and is related to television. It's hard to come up with ideas toward the end of the month, you know. This is partially based on one of my previous videos, Top 5 Cases of Channel Drift and Decay. For those that didn't know already, the Weather Channel is the US only cable network dedicated to weather coverage and documentaries 24 hours a day, that was launched in 1982. It probably has some of the best weather reporting on American television, as well as excellent storm chasers. The most notable feature is the Local on the 8s, a 1 to 2 minute segment featuring the local forecast for your area on cable, but the national forecast on satellite. Anyways, I've been a huge fan of the Weather Channel since I was a kid. When there was nothing to watch on Cartoon Network, Nickelodeon, or PBS Kids, I would come on down to the Weather Channel. My favorite part of watching the Weather Channel was definitely the Local on the 8s. I've always found the icons and graphics fascinating, and I was massively disappointed when the channel rebranded in 2013 in favor of, you guessed it, the bland, flat, and boring corporate art style. They also gradually trimmed down the local forecast from 2 minutes all the way down to a measly minute, resulting in many great features such as the almanac, marine forecast, outdoor activity forecast, satellite radar, getaway forecast, hourly forecast, 8 city observations, air quality, heat safety tips, and day planner becoming discontinued. I really love this geomorphic Fruitigo arrow design the channel used from 2010 to 2013. It was so visually pleasing, and when combined with the weather, it's a match made in heaven. It looks so futuristic, why ditch it? Also, whenever there was a storm coming near our area, it felt exciting. I was always disappointed when they said there would be a severe thunderstorm that day, but it never ended up happening. They also featured various soundtracks during the local forecasts, such as jazz music and some licensed songs, but were eventually phased out in favor of their own generic tracks, but they grew on me over time. The bangers include and especially in July 2023, they somehow managed to replace these tracks with even more generic music that aren't iconic like the originals. Not to mention during summer 2016, they briefly brought back some of the classic jazz tracks, but were later removed for no apparent reason. Even though the 2013 rebrand was very minimalistic, it still had a charm to it and it felt very energetic. It actually made you want to be invested in the weather. The red mode is a good example of this. Whenever there was a major disaster occurring, the logo would turn red and the music would change from upbeat to dramatic, and the graphics would use gradients of red and black instead of blue and white. Even before the rebrand, they would use dramatic synth music during local forecasts occasionally. I'm pretty sure this is the only element from the Weather All the Time rebrand in 2013 that the network still supports. TWC is quite educational. The presenters would go above and beyond and explain in detail the science behind the weather and what to do during natural disasters such as tornadoes. Sadly, many of the iconic on-air talent and meteorologists have either left, passed away, or aren't prominently featured anymore. Dave Schwartz was one of my favorites, but he sadly died of cancer in 2016. I haven't regularly watched the channel in a few years, so I can't really say much about the others such as Jim Cantori and Stephanie Abrams. Also, it sucked when Al Roker left. Recently, I've wanted to rewatch the hit TWC series, So You Think You'd Survive, but I came to the realization that it's lost to media. The show is not available on any streaming services, not available to rent on any platform, has no DVD release, and the only way you can watch it in the US is if you catch the Thursday 5 AM airings on the Weather Channel. Boy, what a convenient time I'll definitely be awake for. This show is not even on any of the piracy sites, which surprised me too. Apparently the only way to watch the show is through this Australian streaming service 7+, and I cannot get it to load, even with a VPN. It is geo-restricted to Australia, and every VPN I use refuses to load the episode and it times out. Hopefully someone out there can send me all the episodes on Google Drive or something, please. I'd appreciate that. So anyways, let's get into the topic of the Weather Channel airing shows not relevant to weather or nature. TWC has been pushing hard for the TWC Entertainment sub-brand for years now, and straying away from weather in favor of reality programs and documentaries. The worst offender has to be Fast Home Rescue, since this show has absolutely no tie to weather or nature whatsoever. A home renovation show feels completely out of place on the Weather Channel. Why isn't this on HGTV or even syndication? It would be like if they aired It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia on PBS. Also, I never understood why they aired lame trucking shows such as Highway Through Hell. I guess there's an audience out there for it, since it has been airing for over a decade now. I honestly prefer the long-form weather-related shows and documentaries, such as So You Think You'd Survive, Storm Stories, and Top 10 Weather Moments. We need more of that, and less of these docu-reality shows. Just because it takes place outdoors doesn't mean it belongs on the Weather Channel. I would be fine if this was only one day out of the week or just graveyard slots, but it's almost every freaking day! They waste their valuable primetime slots on reality shows instead of something like Weather Gone Viral or Weird Earth. NBC is mostly responsible for the damage of TWC by cutting corners to make way for reality programming, ever since they owned the channel in 2008. Eventually in 2018, they sold it to Entertainment Studios, but the damage has already been done. Another factor to TWC's decline are their growing competitors, WeatherNation, AccuWeather, and Fox Weather reporting the weather all hours of the day and not having any filler programming. To be fair, the overnight broadcast on those channels isn't actually live and just footage that was taped prior. Since we live in the modern age and can just check the weather on our phones at any moment, there is really no need to tune into the Weather Channel unless they are covering a major event such as a tornado outbreak or a hurricane. So the rest of the airtime consists of outdoor reality shows to fill out the schedule, and it gets decent ratings and lots of promotion, so there's no reason for TWC to get rid of them. TWC also has weather.com in the mobile app, which in some sense makes the channel redundant in certain aspects. On a side note, whenever they're covering a tropical storm or something, they'll preempt all other shows airing that night to report on the incoming storm, which is definitely a plus. To be fair, the Weather Channel still presents live weather coverage 17 hours a day on weekdays and 13 hours on weekends, with the rest of the airtime such as primetime, overnight and weekend afternoons devoted to long-form content. They've also had some good ideas lately such as Retro 8, an hour-long program which emulates the 90s WeatherStar 4000 aesthetic and reports the weather on cities all around the country. However, they really need to cut back on reality programming and invest more in weather-related shows such as Storm Stories. I wish they kept the "It's Amazing Out There" slogan and ad campaign. Shutting down WeatherScan was already bad enough. I covered that in my previous video. The Weather Channel in 2024 feels so lifeless and barren. It gives me abandoned water park vibes. TWC has been stripped of its identity and is becoming more generic. It makes the 2013 rebrand look so energetic and full of life. They still do a great job of covering severe weather outbreaks and doing their job, but it feels like it's missing something. Maybe they'll spring back to life whenever they plan to rebrand next. I've noticed ever since 2020, rebrands have become more rare and channels tend to stick with the current branding as long as possible. Thank you for watching. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, share, notify, and check out other videos on the channel. You may like them. What is your favorite era of the Weather Channel and why? Let me know in the comments. Mine is the 2010 to 2013 Arrow branding, with the 2013 to 2019 ad campaign being a close second. Yeah, sadly I didn't watch the channel during its golden age in the 90s, since I wasn't alive yet.